Internet, it is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today we're going to be talking about Armageddon Time. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. Well, we have a decent cast here, definitely. I mean, look at these names here. You got Anne Hathaway. Yeah, we can go through Anne Hathaway's track record. She's been in a lot of stuff. A lot of big stuff too. I believe this is the is this the first time I'm talking about her? Maybe. I don't remember. No, this isn't. I talked about The Hustle like way back in the day. But yeah, Anne Hathaway, she's been in a ton of stuff. Most notably, the Princess Diary movies. She's also in Brokeback Mountain. Devil Wears Prada, that's a big one. There's that. Get Smart. Let's see. Bride Wars, Valentine's Day, Alice in Wonderland. She was the White Queen in that. And its sequel. The Rio movies, but those are more voice over movies. I don't count those when it comes to star power. Dark Knight Rises as Christopher Nolan's Catwoman. Les Mis, where she won the Oscar for that movie. Let's see what else. Interstellar, Ocean's 8. Nothing too big after that. Well, there was The Witches, but that ended up going to HBO Max. I think that left HBO Max because of the merger. I think. I don't know. I need to check. I'm pretty sure that was one of the movies that got yeeted. But I'm not too certain. I'm going to go on HBO Max now and try to look it up. The Wit The Witches. No, I don't see it. I do not see it. I think it got yeeted. And I think Locked Down, that also got yeeted too. So oof. That's not good. But yeah, Anne Hathaway, very recognizable face. So she's definitely one of those people you look at and you're just like, oh, I know that person. And the next most notable name here is Anthony Hopkins, whose name isn't on here for some reason. I guess I gotta do this myself. Well, I have to look up another movie. Hannibal. There we go. That's an easy one. If this thing loads. I hate that I have to do this, but the numbers didn't want to give me freaking name when it should have been there. But yeah, Anthony Hopkins, like, dude's an absolute legend. No one can deny that for a second. I mean, he's been in so much stuff, it's absurd. But his main, most notable role is Hannibal Lecter, with like Silence of the Lambs and all that. That's his most iconic role by far and away. And there's a bunch of other stuff here. I see Bram Stoker's Dracula. I see Mask of Zorro. Oh, he was the narrator in How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the one with Jim Carrey. There's also Red Dragon, but that's part of the Silence of the Lambs lore. I see Beowulf. I see Wolfman. I see what else is there? Thor. He was Odin in the Thor movies. Uh, Transformers 5. Oh my god. That's a movie I never want to think about ever again. But yeah, very recognizable dude. So we have two highly recognizable actors here, which I say is a good thing. So that's a pro, but it's a bit more on the minor side because their track records aren't exactly the most ideal. But hey, it's better to be recognizable than unrecognizable, right? In the world of movies. So I would consider that to be a bit of a minor pro. Another pro I can think of is I think the reviews. I'm gonna look at the reviews real quick. Reviews, where are you? There it is. Okay. I'm doing this off screen. It has a score of 77% on Rotten Tomatoes with critics score. That's not exactly the most ideal for like what's clearly an Oscar baity movie, but it's good enough. Its audience score is a bit worse. It's at 71%, which isn't like terrible, but that's not exactly booming either. So overall word of mouth is decent enough. At least that's the vibe I'm getting. It's decent enough. So that's I consider that to be a pro. And I think that's it. Okay, cons. Ugh. This is obviously just another Oscar baiting movie, and these movies are going to start flooding theaters. They already started flooding theaters. I mean, look at last weekend. We had Till, we had Tar. I get Call Jane, I guess, but that one completely tanked. And Till and Tar, they didn't exactly set the world on fire. But the thing about those two movies that they had way better per theater averages than this, because this movie had a limited start, because that's how a lot of these Oscar movies go. They start limited and then they expand wide. This only had a 1 week limited start and only had a per theater average of 11K in 6 theaters, which is really, really low for a movie like this. So that's a really terrible sign right there. That's a sign this movie is not gonna this its expansion isn't gonna go well this weekend. So yeah, weak per theater average in its limited run. That's a definite con. That's a absolute con right there. So that's con number one. Con number two. Let me look at James Gray. Like, what has he made? Technical credits. It seems like he doesn't have a single big hit on his resume. His last movie was Ad Astra, which was a victim of the whole Disney Fox merger, and Disney just didn't know what to do with it, so they just kind of released it, and that was it. I've heard not so great things about Ad Astra. It's one of those like divisive movies. I know Lost City of Z. I've heard that was kind of good, but it never really went anywhere. So I'll yeah, this overall financial box office wise track record isn't great. Seems like James Gray is more of like a niche director, which doesn't go super well a lot of the time. I mean, look at The Northman earlier this year. I mean, sure, I've heard it's a great movie, but the dude only made like I know he made like The Lighthouse before then, but yeah, like is very much like an art house director, and he was in charge of a big budget movie, and it didn't go the way they hoped financially. This isn't as severe because the movie only cost like $15 million, but still, James Gray, the fans he has, it's not a big fan base, so I would consider that to be a con, definitely. Another con is that there's been a real lack of a push for this movie in the marketing department. Seems like they don't care that much. Who's distributing those? From Focus Features. They already tried to distribute Tar like last week, and they're not really pushing this movie either, so that's a bad sign. So lackluster advertising, I would consider that to be a con. Another con is that next week there is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and that's the type of movie that kills every movie that comes before it. So this movie really only has 1 week to shine, I guess, before it gets crushed. It just gets absolutely pummeled. And not to mention, after Black Panther, there's more Oscar baity movies on the way, like She Said and what else? The Fablemans, and this movie's gonna fall through the cracks real easily. So that's another con. And that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. Well, I guess one thing a little fun fact is that this movie it apparently revolves around I have to go back to the I found this out via the Wikipedia page. It revolves around like Marianne Trump, which is like Donald Trump's sister, and I was like, oh no. But I don't know how much of an effect that has on the movie. I can't say. So I'm not gonna label it as a pro or a con, just something to just a little fun fact I wanted to throw out there. So opening weekend, I bombed pretty hard last weekend when it comes to like all the Oscar baity movies. I did pretty bad. So I'm gonna lowball it hard this weekend. I'm gonna say 500,000 to a million this time. That's what I'm going with. I mean, the movie's opening like 1,000 theaters, which is like okay. But yeah, I don't see this movie going. I think it's gonna be closer to 500,000 than a million, but we'll see. And it's total 3, 4, 5 million. I'm betting. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be wrong, but that's the thing I hate about Oscar Beatty movies. I think they're gonna have long legs and then they don't, or I think they're gonna do have decent opening weekends and they don't, and it's very frustrating. But yeah, that's what I think is gonna happen with Armageddon Time. It's kind of a weird title too, because this is supposed to be like a what does it say? It's supposed to be inspirational, yet it's supposed to be like more positive. But when I hear Armageddon, that's the opposite of positive. So weird title, but yeah, that's it. I have nothing else to say about this movie. Okay, what's next? We have two more movies. We got One Piece Film Red and then Banshees of Inisherin that. So stay tuned for those. But yeah, it's a real slow weekend, I know. But next weekend we got Black Panther Wakanda Forever, so things will get a whole lot interesting from here on out. But yeah, that's it. So make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out any other movies I've covered this year? I've done prediction videos this year. You go on the playlist. It's when it, all the you're gonna be seeing a ton of Oscar Beatty movies on the playlist. You've already seen some now, so if you want to watch my prediction videos for like Till and Tar, go right ahead. There is also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. Uh, I just did one earlier. I recorded one earlier. It was about Scream 6 and Dungeons and Dragons. That's episode 165. I just recorded that, so that'll come up later today. But when it comes to Armageddon Time, I only covered it once, and that was episode 137. I talked about that alongside Barbarian and Champions. So, yeah, if you want to watch that episode, the most recent cancel episode I've done, or any other cancel episodes, there's 165 of them, well, at least until once I publish my recent cancel episode. So watch them all from beginning to now, binge it. Highly encourage you to do that, so go do it. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. Uh no, October recap should come out next week. I'll let you know if anything changes. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I've done on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.